shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all the flesh shall see it together.
Oh man, don't that just
Man,
motivate
that's
you?
deep,
I know, man.
That is deep.
They
That is
do.
deep.
That thing gets you ready on
Get you
a
ready,
on
right?
a
Like,
Monday morning, man.
Man, I'm
Oh
man.
man.
yeah.
All hell the king, man. All hell the king. Rest in peace.
I know.
Remembrance to Dr. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., man.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. No doubt, man.
And I don't like, as far as holidays are considered, I don't know what all we ever do, to actually like celebrate MLK Day. And I wonder, I mean, I'm gonna ask y'all, first off, I'm gonna ask y'all, like, what do y'all think like he would want like people to do to celebrate his day?
Man, that's a good question.
Well, I think what he'll want is kind of I say not necessarily on his birthday, but what we do as a nation just to remember, every time his birthday or anything come up, regardless of what you think about the situation, I think it brings up and make you think that um this guy whole Martin Luther King whole thing was about a dream. You know what I mean? His dream. And you can't go through Martin Luther King Day without hearing a clip from that. If you're watching TV, you doing anything, you're gonna hear a clip from that I had a dream speech. I mean, it don't matter where you could be riding your car, you gonna hear something on during this time frame on
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? On him. So I think the biggest thing is just keep people focused on the task at hand type deal. Every year during this
Mhm.
time, somebody need to be a little bit of thinking about where we going, because we ain't there yet.
Mhm.
As we already know, we're not there yet. So um
Mhm.
uh injustice, equality, talking about the dream speech itself, we still need to be head towards that. So I think during this time period, it kind of was always make us think about that, and that's kind of I think what he want when he comes to his speech and come to his birthday.
I agree with you. I think it brings remembrance to your daily actions. Like, what is your plan? Like, where are you going? Like, what's your vision? And I think that, like, that I have a dream now. His dream was like being honestly. When I think of it, it's like being real with yourself. Like, are you standing up for what's right? Are you doing the things within inside yourself to bring somebody else up? You kind of get what I'm saying. And so I think it's like spreading that
Yeah.
awareness of what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? What he did. It wasn't about him. It was about what he could do for others and for especially for our race. And that's what I think about, especially coming from the place to be in. Like when I even thinking of being sitting in the officer world, man, it's like when I was there, wasn't too many of us. But now, like he
Mm.
said, when he said sit at the table, bro. Like I just remember like sitting at the table, it's just only me,
Yeah.
and it's a chance. I'm that when he said that part right there, that hit me hard, man, because it's one of the things that
Yeah.
because he fought for that, I was able to be one of those people to sit at the table at that. You know what I'm saying? At this time of my life, and so now it's like, what am I doing for others to bring them up to that same way? So that's why I think his
Yeah.
vision is like carrying that on and reaching back and holding people and pulling people to the future like he did.
And then we get to sit at these tables and actually have voices. You know what I
Mm,
mean? At times. For me, I think that he would want us to love somebody today.
mm,
Like just love on somebody today. Whether that be and most likely a stranger. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
tell somebody you love them. Somebody that might not look like you, like y'all were saying, take care of somebody that might not look like you. And then when we sit at those tables, we need to represent the people that look like us,
mhm,
and we need to make sure we're thinking about the people that don't look like us. One of the craziest things that I remember about MLK Day was it was on a ship. And we learned about Martin Luther King in high school and middle
mhm,
school and every school near Martin Luther King Day, right? They
Yeah.
teach about it, right? But we were on a ship, and I'm like, man, I know this, I know that. It's not much that I could really learn about, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But you forget how much age kind of put things into perspective. So when
mhm,
I was young, when I was in school, I was always younger than pretty much however old MLK was when he accomplished mostly everything he accomplished.
yeah,
Because I graduated high school younger too. I wasn't really 18 yet. So but the perspective that age gives you. So he was 15 when he graduated high school, right? He was 15 when he graduated high school.
Mhm.
And I was listening to the Sailors talk because we had an MLK Day celebration, which I happened to kind of stumble across being the leader, like in charge. It was like, well, who gonna do the celebration? Somebody was like, I heard it was you. I'm like, all right, well, it's me. But so when he graduated, but I'm listening, I'm like, man, like, and then they said he did the I Have a Dream speech in 1963, right? The crazy thing is he wasn't even gonna put I Have a Dream in that speech, right? But he did it in 1963. He was 34.
Yeah.
Dang.
I'm 35.
Dang.
Yeah, he did I Have a Dream speech when he was 34 years old. And then he got the Nobel Peace Prize, the second African American to get it at 35. So he's of course when he got it, he was the youngest to get it. You know what I'm saying? Morehouse, like then he got his doctorate, all that, and then he was assassinated at 39. So everything we know about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is up until the age of 39 years old.
Yeah.
Some of us past 39. You know what I'm saying? Still trying to figure life out. You know what I mean? This dude then got locked up, won Nobel Peace Prizes, like made so much history and will be remembered. Statue in DC, remembered for the rest of American life and probably across the world. You know what I'm saying? And passed away at 39.
Let me tell you,
was assassinated.
you know, man, what's really crazy about this thing, man, his age and the things he accomplished, man, was like, when I think about it, man, I think about the fact that how many times I've been in a room as a younger guy and was thinking like, I'm just trying to sit back here and let everything go. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody to see me. I don't want nobody to do this. I hear everybody speaking. I hear everybody talking. I just want to be a fly on the wall type deal, right? And as I get older, now I'm kind of like, if somebody gonna speak, I feel like it's gonna be me. You know, as I done got older. But this guy was doing this stuff so young. You know what I mean? That's the fascinating part about this whole thing, man, on how he was way ahead of his time, man, on the things he was doing, the things he was talking about. Was like, and then think about the people who was following him. Who was following a 30-year-old guy? Who's following a 25-year-old guy? These people was following Martin Luther King. What kind of voice you need to have in this day for somebody to follow you like he was being followed? That's crazy when you think about it, man. You know, you think back on it.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of people right now.
Yeah,
I mean, like at that point, like he was so definite and sure of himself, man. And I think like expect that as rare to see as a black man, especially today, like so sure of himself at that age. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember being like 20, 29, and I'm like, I don't even know, you know what I'm saying, what I want to eat for breakfast the next morning. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know, like really, like I'm waking up like, dang, what I'm gonna do today? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And he had a plan, man. And it's like one of those things, like to be that self-aware at such a young age, man. It's just like your level of think about how emotionally like awake, emotionally like aware he had to be, because the way he responded to a lot of these things, man. Like I don't think I couldn't respond the way he did in such an unloving like a way at that time, man. And they was on some trash stuff, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And for him to respond that way every time, like, I don't know, man. I just think, like you said, he just was way ahead of his time. Like,
Yo, he was viral, you know, like what we call viral right now. He was that. Like I think about like, you know, podcast clips, and I think about stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, we like let me hold back. Am I ready for you know, this much attention? I think about that a lot with, you know, some of the clips that come out about our podcast. Like we recently had a clip that came out, and I'm like, if I press like a certain button, it might get like attention from like a certain place. And I said, I'm not going to press it. I'm going to let it just go organically. But honestly, though, to be honest, I didn't know if I was ready for that. Because when you do that, everything opens up. You go under the scope. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was under the scope all the time. He was under the scope. People was after him. The government, like a bunch of people was, you know, he had a bunch of things, you know, things about his personal life and, you know, things that's like not so savory that people like to remember more than like you said earlier, Joe, when you said like he it wasn't about him. It was about what he meant to, other people, but when you start to lead a movement like that, man, people gonna go over, everything you ever done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's why I be
Yeah,
trying
you
to
know.
put, that's why I try to put my dirty laundry in the
No, you're
podcast, man,
right.
because
Hey.
because if we ever do the old
Yeah,
tweets,
they gonna
they gonna
scrutinize it.
come up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No
That's
doubt,
one
Yeah,
man.
thing.
so yeah,
I mean,
and you
but it
got to
take
be brave for that.
you do, but you got to like it's a level of self growth. Like that one thing I've learned is just like getting older. I ain't as old as you, you know what I'm saying? Senior leg.
You older than me.
I mean, but you over there sitting about what you about 45? Well, play.
He's sitting on dubs. He's sitting on
No, like,
I'm not
sitting
even.
on
Hey, look.
20s over
Some
there.
things you don't have to even respond to, man. I just have to. I have to let
look
it
at
roll.
look at
Dubs
that.
with
Look.
that.
I'm not even
Nah,
responding.
but like, what are the like? What the biggest thing I've learned is like it's about the more you work on yourself and grow, like and don't put the attention out there on other people. The more you grow yourself, the more influence you have, right? And so, and at that point, like you're able to hold those positions without having to worry about whatever's going on because your level of self-growth is so high and so aware. You see things coming that like most people don't even see coming, and then you see like people walking around, you're like, dang man, like you can tell who's aware, who's who, you know what I'm saying, who's sure of themselves, who's
Yeah.
growing in themselves, and who's, working in their purpose and doing what they need to do, those type of things. So it's more about self-growth, and I think he understood that at such a young age that most of us didn't even like. I'm just learning that, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
38. And I'm
Yeah.
like, God dang, man. Like
Yeah.
it's my growth. Is that what counts? That's what, what that's when I begin to influence and things like that. So
Yeah, man.
I think
That's
he
a
learned
big.
that at
That's
Yeah.
a
a
big
young
thing
age.
right there, man. You talk about self growth, man. That's most definitely something that we always trying to work on. Something we always trying to get better at. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right, man. He had it young, but I tell you one thing, man, about like self growth, man, is like when we talking and we speaking, man, I couldn't imagine myself like I be sitting in rooms sometimes and people be asking me questions and I'd be like, man, 15 years ago, man, I wouldn't be in here right now. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
talking about this stuff right
Yeah.
now. We talking about right now. So
Mm-hmm.
most definitely self growth is a big deal, man, and it's real. And sometimes it comes with experience. Sometimes it comes with age. Sometimes it comes with
Mm-hmm.
being in the room with people and talking and hearing and listening and sometimes that's one of the biggest things about it, just sitting back and listening. That's how you grow too.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting back and listening and see what people talking about because you'll be surprised on some of this shit come out people's mouths sometimes, man. So it'll most definitely make you sit back and think. And now
Mm-hmm.
the self growth meaning I'm not sitting back and listening to this shit no more and letting them make it. You know what I mean? I'm like, hold up. You know what I mean? I'm throwing my hands up now.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna pause you now
Yeah.
and say what you mean by that. Back in the day, I probably let them make
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what I mean? Like let them
Yeah.
go, let them keep talking. No, not
Yeah.
no. No, hold up. I need to explain what you're
Yeah.
saying right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
and I think that got to do with time, yo. I think the older we get, the more we see like time is limited.
Yeah.
Like we not about to waste it. You know what I mean? I was sitting down with my wife last night watching a TV show, and this happens to me randomly. Like I just get this random thought, like, "Yo, we not gonna be here forever." Like in this space that we in right now, watching this, doing this, or whatever, at mid-30s or whatever, in great health, we're not gonna be here forever. You know, we're gonna get older. A whole lot is gonna happen. Um, and then it's over. It's somewhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? And you start to think about that, like, am I finished? Am I finished? And that's why I appreciate like how immediate like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was about like what he did. Like y'all said, like he was immediate. Like, oh man, like they said something to Rosa Parks about this bus. Let's go do something about it. Oh man, this happening over here in Selma. Let's go do something about it. Like we got to get these things done because our time here is like limited. You know what I mean? And even though we always talk about, it's all these people dying and they're like passing away now, like 98, 99, 96. We always talk about how they lived a full life. But he lived a full life and passed away at 39. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a whole lot more work he could have done,
Yeah,
but he
man.
got a whole lot
Yeah,
done.
he
Yeah.
did.
You know what I'm saying?
And we talking about it right now. So
Yeah. And we'll be talking about it forever.
Ever. Yeah.
Like none of us would be here. I used to struggle with my black leaders, yo. I don't know if y'all want to get into that, but I used to struggle
Go
with
there.
like my black leaders. I used to struggle with the idea of Martin Luther King Jr. More so because I would put him up against the idea of Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? And I think I lean more toward what I felt like Malcolm X was about than Martin at that time, because Malcolm X was he was going to chop you down. And I'm not talking about, pro violence. I'm talking about
Yeah.
verbally. Like
Yeah.
he was going to chop. I've seen him chop people
Yeah.
down. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. Like he had that fire. Like he was he would combat you too. He would, like, you're not gonna win a war of words, a war of wit, or nothing with him. And I like that, man. And so for some of my younger years, I could honestly say I didn't appreciate Dr. Martin Luther King as much as I do now.
Let me,
So I will admit that.
you're right, man. Martin Luther King was a little bit different, but Malcolm X, man, let me tell you, that's why I feel like they had to get rid of Malcolm X, man. Because in a meeting, anywhere you be at, you're not winning when it comes to those when you start to talking with him. You know what I mean? And they knew you had to bring it, man. If you were talking about winning any type of conversation with Malcolm X, you see some of the stories and some of the stuff you hear him when he talking about, you wasn't winning, man. So I felt like, I feel like the people who he was with and who was around, I think they knew too, though. And I think he even knew, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like you in a situation now, man. Everybody finna follow you. You know what I mean? And they ain't want that. Then nobody want, somebody following Malcolm X. They ain't want people following Martin Luther King like they was following him. So back in that time too, man, that meant something. You know what I mean? That meant something back in that time. So yeah, man. Malcolm X, you're right, man. He was a beast, man, when it comes to stuff like that, man. Like you wasn't. I remember having conversations back in Mississippi, man, about like what I wasn't having a conversation, just listening to like my mom and my uncles and all of them just talking, you know what I mean, just having conversations about it, and it was just like they was talking about this stuff before, like some of this stuff happened, like they people knew, you know what I mean, and this is Mississippi where it's crazy already, so you know what I mean, it was a situation, man, where people always, like, when you come into like following people and who's the guy and who's this, and back in the 40s and 50s, man, you couldn't they was watching that stuff. It was like FBI was watching this stuff, you know what I mean? So
man.
you had to watch it back in those times, man. So yeah, man, it's crazy, but you weren't winning no battle of wits with Malcolm X, man.
So
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, so we came a long way from we like you said, like y'all both said, we still got a whole lot to go. We came a long way. I just want to throw some flowers out there for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on his day. I didn't want to start our podcast off without remembering him.